I am the full embodiment of a designer, I would like to think. I've been doing it now for 30 years and it's been the passion of my life. That's what I am. I decided to work for myself when I left art college after 2 years, and I've been developing what I do in the last 30 years. I've been very lucky to move from one within the same field, but different opportunities, variety, different jobs, when I say different jobs, different sort of directions, but still within the same field. So I'm continuing to educate myself in design, in cloth, in customers, in cut, in silhouette, and everything to do with fitting a body the correct way, in the right silhouette, with the right material, for the right occasion. When I first started, Mum and Dad bought me a sewing machine and I knew I could sew. So I wasn't actually taught how to sew. I got and succeeded in getting into art college, which I studied for 5 years, fashion design. I worked for 2 years in different fields. The last job I had was assistant lecturer in the art college in the fashion department, but I decided I wanted to work for myself, and that is 30 years ago. I was hugely influenced at the time by Giorgio Armani. Oh, he was the tops, but you're talking 1970, well 1982 actually, 82, 85 I started in business. He was a wonderful designer, commercial but artistic at the same time. Over the years, obviously the design influence have been from John Galliano, Chanel, Valentino, Karl Lagerfeld and Dior, who would be the ultimate, in my opinion, House of Dior in Paris. They're my greatest influences. However, within the family, we have a family history of design, of fashion and tailoring. My great-grandfather was a tailor. He was actually Russian Jewish. He had to emigrate from Russia along with my great-grandmother. He had a tailoring business in Belfast during the war, and they actually won the military contracts for the military uniforms in the First World War. Also, my great aunt was a fantastic seamstress. So it's within the family. It skipped a couple of generations, and my generation now at this moment in time, I say is my penance on earth, because nobody sews, only me. I've been in business now 31 years. I started when I was 2. That's not true, guys. But I really, I feel like a regeneration every time. I don't feel that I've got set in my ways. I love my clients. I love the freshness of new, inspiring ideas, new things on the go, new artists that are out there that inspire you. I've always been inspired by architecture, by beautiful flowers, by beautiful art, let's say nature, human nature, by people as well, shapes, film stars, films, everything. I've been inspired, and I take inspiration from all of those things around me, all to do with creativity. Many years ago, I got the opportunity through an introduction, a private introduction to a couple of ladies in Vogue, and I did meet them very briefly and came back with a portfolio where I was invited to have breakfast at Vogue, and I really enjoyed it. They suggested 3 options to me at the time, which was to be satisfied with what I have, which are my private clients, which ultimately I am satisfied with, but also career orientated and wanted to move forward in business. So I also wanted to look at other options. So they had suggested ready to wear, which I tried for 2 years and is not for me, or else to design for a big name company, which I've never done. And maybe at this stage of my career, I really don't need to do that now, because my own clients that I have can buy their clothes from any of the top fashion houses, but they would still choose to have their perfect pieces created down in my place. So I compete with them. I can compete with all quantities of, well, not quantities, I would say all quality of material, hopefully cut, because I'm tailoring on the body. And I need to do it because I need to compete. And if I wasn't doing it, I wouldn't be in business. I never had a desire to leave Northern Ireland. My family, I made the decision years ago, family was the most important thing and still is. I just assessed what was important in life, and I have been able to travel. My clothes have travelled worldwide. I've done shows on the international stage. I still feed my creative spirit. I still have the opportunity to do all of these on international stages. I think if I was to go to any of the big cities, I would have floundered. I definitely would have been lost, because I'm not that type of person. But I have built my own heaven around me with my clients, my fantastic clients, beautiful cloth from fantastic suppliers who understand that I need small quantities, because I only make one-offs totally and only have ever done in the 30 years. So everything is a complete exclusive. And I like tailoring on the body. For me, the clients that I have prefer that. They know that it actually fits them, even to the cut of the sleeve. Every single proportion is cut out to suit each person. So there is a difference in ready to wear, and there's a difference in tailoring properly to the body. Over 20 years ago, I made a wedding dress for a girl who was studying film in London. We struck up a friendship. I knew she was going places. She was a wonderful girl with a tremendous personality and a tremendous gift. And at the time when we did her dress, she was hugely influenced by the 20s, which was also an inspiration of mine. So we created a wedding dress and an entire wedding party, down to the very shoes, that was the essence of the 20s. Alison Miller now got in touch with me last year, or a couple of years ago actually, to say she'd had a bit of an epiphany and realised that she really needed to have a nice dress made because she'd been nominated for a BAFTA. And it was quite funny because we are very down to earth, and I said no problem. So the dress was actually turned around in about 2 days. But as it turned out, it was totally successful for her. Her documentary won a BAFTA that year, and I was lucky enough to have dressed her for the red carpet. I have always worked with hairdressers. I worked with hairdressers from just as I left art college. I worked with Jim Crosby for 12 years, then Steve McCusker International from Lurgan, and then Shane Bennett for 20 years. It taught me total looks, taught me so much about how you should look and how you should turn yourself out, and the variety of opinions that ladies have and how they want to look. Where I see myself now, I'm concentrating, and as I always have really, on my private business. And in my lifetime, I can be quite sincere in telling you I've never really known what I'm going to do in 2 weeks' time. So I just go with the flow, and it's the life I chose for myself all those years ago.